And today, all eyes turn to Vatican City as the College of Cardinals prepares to convene a conclave to elect the next Pope following Pope Francis's passing. The process has been shrouded in tradition and secrecy and will begin with the world waiting in anticipation. Let's talk about the process of how this mysterious event runs. And Bishop José Ponce De León, originally from Argentina and a respected figure in Southern Africa for decades, joins us now to share and shed some light as much as he can, I guess, but also had a close relationship with Pope Francis and is a good friend of a South African. This is Cardinal Stephen Brislin, who is from Christ the King Church here in Johannesburg. And he's going to share his unique insights into the conclave and potential candidates. So, Bishop, thank you and welcome this morning. Thank you very much for being with us. So I think that there has been a process of education for our viewers since the passing of Pope Francis around all of these steps that follow the passing of a Pope of the Roman Catholic Church. But I think it's always worth going back to the basics then. What exactly is the conclave and why is it so secretive?
Well, good morning to you, Imam, and thank you for this opportunity to be talking about this important moment, which I think is not just for the Catholic Church, I think is for many people in the world. I think that after the death of a Pope, or in the case of Benedict, after his resignation, the Cardinals have come together to know each other and to reflect together on how the Church is going to be light in this moment in our world. And having done that for a number of days, now since yesterday, I believe, they have gone into the process of the conclave. I believe they have left their cell phones behind, or at least they are all off. At least this is what Cardinal Brislin told me yesterday afternoon as he was moving into Santa Marta. And then we'll start from today the process of voting, which is having discerned what the Church needs to do in this moment, how the Church is called to be. Now comes this intense moment of discernment and prayer that is done without any connection with the rest of the world. Personally, I feel it's a good idea because I have seen from the time Pope Francis died the power of social media trying to suggest in one way or another who should be, who shouldn't be. Until today, until yesterday. I am on social media. I happen to be in Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and out of the blue, a number of things appeared on my space, and I realized how much present is, or how much social media would like to influence the choosing of the one who is going to be the next successor of Peter.
So it's so interesting. You talk about being on social media yourself, and the College of Cardinals, all of those representatives would certainly, well, I guess, you know, understandably also have access to social media and so on. So listening to some of the preferences, the suggestions, the need for this or that new pope from this or that continent, how do they ensure that they're agnostic to those suggestions, that really, as you say, this moment of prayer, deep discernment, getting to know each other as well, is what remains the central focus? And to use a precept from the Roman Catholic or the Christian Church is to allow the Holy Spirit then, in your context, to guide that decision-making.
Well, I would say we are all human. So we are clearly influenced. And the important thing, I believe, is to combine everything, to have an open heart, to be able to listen to the different voices. So there is the voice that comes from social media, even I would say from some powerful groups that wants to influence the cardinals. And this is Catholics and non-Catholics. I happened to read yesterday about a kind of a dossier that was given to the cardinals about other cardinals. But at the same time, the voice that comes from the sharing they had in the last few days. And you know what? I would even add another voice personally, something that I didn't expect. The voice of the hundreds of thousands of people that attended Pope Francis' funeral. I think that's another voice that has to be taken into consideration. They also listen to the voice of their local churches. This is one of the most diverse groups we've ever had at the moment of choosing the successor of Peter, coming from all over the world. And so each one of them also brings in his heart the voice of his local church. So it's a combination of elements. And then, as you said, this time of discernment and prayer, disconnecting themselves from any other voice, I think is the most beautiful and powerful moment.
Yeah. That diversity question was one I wanted to ask you. So I think you have the power of a discernment of your own in guessing what I'm going to ask you. But thanks for sharing that and the impact that it has on the selection of the ultimate successor to Pope Francis. Before I move on to the next question, I mean, you know, it's not lost on us that you did have, I understand, a close relationship with Pope Francis. Was there ever a time that he talked about legacy? Was there ever a time he talked about the end of his role and what he might have wanted for, you know, what he would have wanted in a new Pope or a successor?
I'm going to disappoint you a little bit. Yes, we come with Pope Francis. We come from not only the same country, the same town, both from Buenos Aires. But I was never one who would, every time that I went to Rome for different reasons, I was not one who would be looking to having a meeting with him, to talk to him. We only met, the only time I had a one-to-one meeting with the Pope was with Pope Francis in January 2023, because I wanted to thank him for his support during a difficult time here in Eswatini. But also, I was preparing the meeting of the bishops of Botswana, South Africa, Eswatini, that was going to happen in June 2023. But we never spoke about that. What amazed me in Francis was his mind, because he jumped from one topic to another and he had a clear picture of what was happening around the world and in the church. But we never spoke about the future.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that. So let's go then. I mean, you've played open cards, but let's go back to secrecy now. And there's a strong tradition of secrecy, right down to jamming devices and locking of doors in the Sistine Chapel. Why is that level of privacy, and I guess mystique in a way, considered to be so essential?
I think it's for what I was sharing before. As I said, I happened to read yesterday, I cannot really confirm it, but the fact, for example, that a certain group had prepared a certain dossier for a number of cardinals, and maybe indicating if they wanted this one or not, if they were happy or not with the leadership of Pope Francis, and so what to think of the future. So that kind of secrecy allows them to really to dedicate that time for prayer, personal prayer, moments of prayer together, but also to talk to each other. It's not that they don't talk to each other. We have reports from previous conclaves, and so during meals and things, because I would say when we think of Pope Francis encouraging the church to become more synodal, listening to each other and together listening to the voice of the Spirit, I think this is what the cardinals do, by listening to each other also during these days, protected from any other influence. Then they have a better space to do this exercise. And of course, we will all be looking to the chimney every few hours to know if we have good news.
I wonder if, how long you think it will take before we see, you know, black or white smoke. But talk to us very quickly before we close, inside the actual voting process and the ballots, how they work. And yeah, I think that's important, because that's what I assume is happening now inside the Sistine Chapel.
It will start this afternoon, and then they will be voting, I believe, twice in the morning and then twice in the afternoon. For what I know, in order for someone to be elected, the next successor of Peter, he must have 2/3 of the votes. I stand to be corrected, but as far as I know, Pope Benedict also made that very, very strict, that this has to be all the time 2/3 of the votes. It's very important that the cardinals reach a consensus among themselves about who they believe God has chosen to take this service to the church and to the world.
And how many of those do we have right now? I know that the only cardinals under the age of 80 can vote. How many are eligible in terms of the makeup of the College of Cardinals right now?
The ones that are going to be voting is the highest number we could remember. It's 133 of them. I think in practically it's 135, but two of